Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. A special welcome to those of you watching online at onespotmedia.com. We begin with tragic news as more carnage on the nation's road after 5 persons are confirmed dead following a 2-vehicle crash along the Orchard Main Road in Hanover, Hopewell last night. 2 others are in hospital in critical condition. The crash involved a grey Toyota motor car and a white station wagon vehicle. Dead are 28-year-old Joseph Brown of Green Pond in St. James, Philip Jones, Nicholas French. Up to news time, the other 2 persons were still unidentified. Now, TVJ News has learned that the crash happened sometime after 10 o'clock when both vehicles were traveling in opposite directions along the Orchard Main Road. The grey Toyota, which had 5 persons on board, reportedly drifted into the right lane and collided with the station wagon motor vehicle. All 5 were pronounced dead at hospital. 2 persons who were cut from the station wagon and they are now in hospital in critical condition. Meanwhile, 2 students are among 3 persons who have been hospitalized following another 2-vehicle crash, this time along the Goshen Main Road in St. Elizabeth this morning. Shortly before 8 o'clock, a bus and a white Toyota Corolla motor car were both traveling easterly from Santa Cruz. It's not clear what happened, but we were told that the driver of the bus attempted to overtake the car, which was making a right turn. The bus slammed into the side of the car, sending it into a nearby fence. The 2 students who were passengers in the bus and the driver of the other car sustained injuries.
Again, I say the road from Gutters to Lacovia, it's very pretty. I'm asking you to be extremely careful. Just slow down, reduce your speed. Observe other motorists on the road. Have regard for other motorists and you will save some lives.
It's time to entrench the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ, in the Constitution. That's the call from Central Manchester Member of Parliament Peter Bunting, as he warns against what he terms a threat to the integrity of the ECJ and the country's democracy.
As far as I am concerned, the integrity of our electoral system is at risk. This is not something that we can just let be a 9-day wonder.
Mr. Bunting made the remarks at a PNP conference at the Manchester High School in Mandeville last night. He says he believes the integrity of the ECJ is being undermined because of the forced departure of its Director of Elections, Orette Fisher, and the questionable appointment of the current Commissioner of the ECJ.
From that JLP Commissioner was appointed, and I can speak to this from first-hand knowledge because I was there. The whole environment, the collegial working environment at the Electoral Commission changed completely. You know, when somebody takes it upon somebody, or them used to say dopey takes it, from the man come on the commission, him takes it on the director. I don't know what the director doing, but clearly he came with an agenda.
He is therefore calling on his opposition colleagues, Deputy General Secretary Senator Wentworth Skeffrey and General Secretary Julian Robinson, who now serve on the commission, to be vigilant and not to be bullied into any decision that will undermine the ECJ. In the meantime, Mr. Bunting says he believes what transpired at the Electoral Commission of Jamaica is not new, but contributes to undermining the entity, or rather the integrity of the entity.
When Montague was Minister of National Security, we saw him pressuring successive commissioners of police in inappropriate ways. We saw appointments of JLP candidates, unsuccessful JLP political candidates, as chairman, deputy chairman, and CEO of the Firearm Licensing Authority. And we saw what a debacle that has been.
Despite Northeast St. Elizabeth being dubbed a stronghold for the People's National Party, PNP, some constituents are sending a strong message to the hierarchy of the party this afternoon as they are not in support of the new candidate selected to represent the party. TVJ's O'Shane Masters reports.
We'll not have it. The cry of some supporters of the PNP after an internal election on Sunday to select the party's candidate for the next election. But some supporters are up in arms as the candidate they voted for in the runoff election yesterday was not victorious. However, despite that notion by some, other party supporters were jubilant as Basil Waite was selected as a PNP's candidate and not Everton Fisher.
It could not be better for North East St. Elizabeth to have a representative as Basil Waite. I see Basil Waite as one of the next Prime Minister of Jamaica. And with this man at the helm, there's no doubt that St. Elizabeth is going to take all 4 divisions. So it's just a matter of time.
Councillor for the Balaclava division, Everton Fisher, says now that the contest is over, it's time for unity.
There were some things said that unfortunately could have been, not said. But I know in a contest there's always going to be this type of argument. Healing of the wounds is not on my shoulder alone, it's on everybody's shoulder. As I said, some harsh things were said. However, it's all of us' duty now to extend the olive branch and to see how best we can heal it.
And what of allegations that persons were brought into the constituency to vote?
I understand that the other campaign might not have been able to locate some of the delegates. The truth is, I had an awesome campaign team. Other people came supporting me from nationally. There are people from St. James, people from Portland, people from all over who have done political work across the length and breadth of Jamaica since I was president of the PNPYO.
In the internal elections on Sunday, Mr. Waite got 571 votes and Mr. Fisher 276. Over 800 delegates voted. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
The Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, is urging the government to fast-track the divestment of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, and the Riverton City Disposal Site. The call is being made against the backdrop of a major fire close to the dump recently. Head of the PSOJ, Howard Mitchell, argues that a proper system of waste management would reduce these incidents. He says he does not understand why it's taking so long to divest an entity which is a burden on the state.
I was aware of it in 2007 that we were moving to divest National Solid Waste Management Authority. I am also aware that there are a number of interested parties with some of the best technology in the world to deal with human waste, and I don't see why this can't be done in a year.
Stakeholders in the gasoline retail trade are expressing concern that the Jamaican economy could be hard hit as oil prices continue to inch upwards. With oil prices now above $70 a barrel and some analysts predicting an increase to $100 by next year, the Jamaica Gasoline Retailers Association, JGRA, says this will likely spell bad news for the country.
It cannot augur well for our industrial or commercial activities here. It will hamper our growth projection for the country. And of course, high fuel price will start a domino effect in increasing prices. And that at this time, when we're looking at a recovering economy, cannot augur well for us.
Analysts have predicted that prices for crude oil may rise sharply due to major supply risks in Iran and Venezuela, which are likely to strain global energy markets. More than 300 persons from the Spring Valley community and the surrounding areas in St. Mary benefited from a recent job fair at the Spring Valley Community Center. The initiative was headed by the St. Mary Charity in collaboration with the Heart Trust NTA. More than 15 organizations were also a part of the team. Counselor for the Retreat Division, Crystal Lee, says the drive is to help create opportunities for the residents.
As part of our mandate in government right now is to create opportunities for the people of Jamaica, and particularly I know as part of my manifesto and Minister Montague's manifesto is to create employment, particularly for our people here in Western St. Mary. And my division, of course, placing it here was very important to me. So through St. Mary Charities, in collaboration with them and Heart, we supported this initiative to make it a success. So
this job fair is a very good thing. We have so many unemployed in Jamaica, and I think that is the main reason for crime, and we want to see more of this. And we don't want to see people coming out and just looking at a job and not getting through. We want to hear that people getting job and out there working, because if you have time to work, you don't have time to rob or kill or to steal. So I think this is a very, very, very good thing.
And we go down to news overseas as the votes are in and as an advisory committee wants Martin Luther King Jr.'s name on the Kansas City airport. But the aviation department thinks they should reconsider that idea. The details from the CNN.
Airport and 63rd Street.
It wasn't unanimous. But on Sunday afternoon, renaming the airport after Martin Luther King Jr. was the top pick. The votes coming from an advisory committee named by Mayor Sly James. What happens next remains unclear.
We were asked not to be too concerned about the logistics of it.
While the airport got the most votes, 63rd Street came in second. So the group will also send that on to the mayor.
The airport, I think, is easy, timely, and very appropriate. Renaming a street is probably more complicated.
But renaming the airport is complicated too. In a statement to 41 Action News, aviation spokesman Joe McBride said, quote, "The department looks forward to the opportunity to be engaged in a public discussion about the pros and cons of naming the new terminal versus the renaming of Kansas City International." We also obtained a draft of a letter for the advisory group sent on May 10th. In it, the director of aviation expressed concerns about changing KCI's name because it would create confusion among the traveling public and hinder the department's ability to market Kansas City.
It's something that airports have moved away from, so we need to make sure we study that first before we're making a change.
Councilman Quinton Lucas stressed there is a lot more research to be done. Mayor James says his next step is receiving the recommendations officially and talking to the community.
To have the whole community engaged in this and to make their preferences known so that we do something that people can buy into and own. That's what it was all about.
And we go on to sports. After becoming the first club from outside Europe to compete in the Borderlina Under-10 football competition in Italy, Harborview have plans to improve the fundamentals of the sport with their youth. Simon Preston tells us more.
Rubbing shoulders with Bayern Munich and Manchester United in the space of a week is no ordinary feat. That is exactly what Harborview's Under-10 football team accomplished after becoming the first non-European club to play in the Borderlina Cup in Italy. The young stars of the East picked up wins against Italian club Subtriol and Finnish club Helsinki. General Manager of Harborview, Clyde Giardini, who highlighted many positives from the trip, also stressed what is needed for Jamaican clubs to catch up with Europe.
We have to learn it, and we have to invest a lot more, and we have to learn the tactics of the game. Where we fall short is that we do have a system and a tactic that we play generally, and then individually as club you tweak it. That is what we have to get on board with, and we have to get these guys to continue from there.
10-year-old striker Giovanni Taylor, who is the son of former national player Fabian Taylor, scored 3 goals in the tournament, and he speaks about the advice his father gave to him before departure to Italy.
Let's go there and do our best.
His cousin Daniel Thomas top scored for Harborview in the competition with 4 goals, and he says he has goals of moving to the Under-13 team.
Yeah, I want to go to the Under-13 team and score lots of goals.
With President of CASAFA Wayne Shaw announcing recently plans to start an Under-8 league in the near future, Giardini agrees with this sort of event.
It wouldn't hurt. We have 7 against 7. You can use to the younger age group with a 5 against 5 and you build it up. It will all help. We need to go there.
Up next for the Stars of the East at youth level will be an appearance at the Cayman Islands Invitational Under-15 football tournament, which is set to run from May 29 to June 3. Reporting for TVJ Sports, I'm Simon Preston.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the News, Sports and Production teams, good afternoon.